All right, let's get it. So Genesis chapter 5, 21 through 24. And Enoch lived 65 years and begat Methuselah. And Enoch walked with the Most High after he begat Methuselah 300 years and begat sons and daughters. And all the days of Enoch were 365 years. And Enoch walked with the Most High, and he was not, for the Most High took him. I'm going to go to verse 24 again. And Enoch walked with the Most High, and he was not. So in this case, it's not speaking literally, but figuratively. There was a certain way or a certain pattern that Enoch walked. And we can get further, proof of that by looking up this definition of that word walk. The Hebrew word is halak, is Strong's H1980. The definitions are to go, to walk, to come, to go, walk, come, depart, proceed, move, go away. Check this out. To die, live, manner of life, figuratively. And for further proof on how Enoch carried his life, we're going to go to Hebrews 11:5. It says, by faith Enoch was translated that he should not see death, and was not found, because the Most High had translated him. For before his translation he had this testimony that he pleased the Most High. So Enoch demonstrated his faith by walking in the righteous ways of the Most High, by following his laws, statutes, and commandments. And because of his righteous way of life, he was translated, or he was put to death, translated from the physical world to the spiritual world, that he should not see death. And that death is in reference to the flood. And the Most High, because of the way Enoch lived, the Most High practically killed Enoch. That way Enoch wouldn't have to bear witness, to all the death and the hell and destruction that was going to come upon the earth during this time period. And depending on who he has mercy on, sometimes the Most High will put, certain righteous men to death, for that said reason. Isaiah 57:1. The righteous perisheth, and no man lays it to heart, and merciful men are taken away, none considering that the righteous is taken away from the evil to come. So I'm going to hop back over to 5:24 again, and it says that Enoch walked with the Most High, and he was not, for the Most High took him. Those terms that he was not, and was not found, and is not, those terms are pretty much just another fancy ways of saying that somebody died, or a certain group of people, they got killed or put to death. For proof of that, we can go to Psalms chapter 37, 35, and 36. It says, I have seen the wicked in great power, and spreading himself like a green bay tree. Yet he passed away, and lo, he was not. Yea, I sought him, but he could not be found. Again, he was not is another way of saying that they died, or they got killed, or they perished. Let's get some more precepts on that. Matthew chapter 2, verse 16 and 18. Then Herod, when he saw that he was mocked of the wise men, was exceeding wroth, and sent forth and slew all the children that were in Bethlehem, in all the coasts thereof, from 2 years old and under, according to the time which he had diligently inquired of the wise men. Then was fulfilled that which was spoken by Jeremiah the prophet, saying, in Ramah there was a voice heard, lamentation and weeping, and great mourning, Rachel weeping for her children, and will not be comforted, because they are not. Meaning what? They died. They died from Herod's wrath when he sent the decree. When he sent forth the decree asking for all the children to get killed. Let's go to another one. Lamentations chapter 5 and 7. Our fathers have sinned and are not, meaning what? They are dead, and we have borne their iniquities. So those are a couple of examples of the scriptures detailing those terms. So now we're at Genesis chapter 6 and 1 and 5. And it came to pass, when man began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of the Most High saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. And Yahweh said, my spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of the Most High came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children unto them, the same became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown. And the Most High saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. I'm going to go back to verse 2. That the sons of the Most High saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. Those sons of God are in reference to Adam's seed line, and the daughters of men are in reference to Cain's seed line. And for further proof of that, you can get Genesis chapter 4, 25 and 26, and all through Genesis 5 and Luke 3 and 23, I believe, going into verse 36 for the full lineage of Adam. And for the daughters of men, that's a reference to Cain, you can read Genesis 4, 17 through 23. So I'm going to go over to verse 4. There were giants in the earth in those days. I highlight that the word in yellow, giants. We're going to get that definition. Right here, Strong's definition is H5303, and it says giants, the Nephilim. If you get further detail on that definition, it means properly a feller, i.e. a bully, or a tyrant, a giant. In this context, the giants that were in the earth in those days, they were men they were bullies, they were tyrants, they were, practically wicked men, that were on the earth. Again, it's speaking figuratively, not literally. In that same verse, and also after that, when the sons of the Most High came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them, the same became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown. So I'm going to stop right here. I'm going to explain something right quick. The giants that were in the earth in those days, those giants that were spoken about, they were there before and after the sons of God and the daughters of men were present on the earth. The giants were here before and after the sons of God, Adam's seed line, and the daughters of men, which is Cain's seed line. All right, so I just wanted to get that cleared up. So back to this. When the sons of the Most High came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them, the same became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown. Okay? They weren't 450 foot tall, half hybrid, half human, half angel creatures. They were regular men that walked on the face of the earth. Regular, fleshly men just like me and just like you that were walking on the earth, but they were mighty men, men of old, men of renown, men of high status, men of popularity. That's pretty much what it means. And the Most High saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. And the Lord said, I will destroy man, whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, and the creeping thing, and the fowls of the air, for it repenteth me that I have made them. In the next chapter, Genesis chapter 7, verse 17, and the flood was 40 days upon the earth, and the waters increased, and bare up the ark, and it was lift up above the earth, and the waters prevailed, and were increased greatly upon the earth, and the ark went upon the face of the waters. Verse 21, and all flesh died that moved upon the earth, both of fowl and of cattle, and of beast, and of every creeping thing that creeps upon the earth, and every man, all in whose nostrils was the breath of life, of all that was in the dry land died, and every living substance was destroyed, which was upon the face of the ground, both man and cattle, and the creeping things, and the fowl of the heaven, and they were destroyed from the earth, and Noah only remained alive, and they that were with him in the ark. So pretty much, after the sons of Adam came in on the Cain seed line, they gave, even though they gave birth to, popular men, mighty men, warrior-like men, they were very wicked. Very, very wicked people. And, as this wickedness, was allowed to, go on the earth, the Most High, just said up and fucking, I'm gonna have to reset this shit. And he practically, destroyed everything through the flood. And everything died. Everything died. There were no Nephilim creatures. There were no Nephilim creatures clinging onto the bottom of the fucking ark Not one damn bit. Everything died. The only thing that remained alive was Noah, his 3 sons, and his wives. That's it. Okay? Now this is where they get this bullshit from, talking about fallen angels, Nephilim creatures, half human, half angel hybrids. They get this bullshit from the book of Enoch. So we're going to read this garbage right here. And it says, in the book of Enoch, chapter 7 and 1, it happened after the sons of men had multiplied in those days, that daughters were born unto them, elegant and beautiful. And when the angels, the sons of heaven, beheld them, they became enamored of them, saying to each other, come, let us select for ourselves wives from the progeny of men, and let us beget children. These are the names of their chiefs: Semyaza, who was their leader, Ukabaramiel, Akibel, Tamil, Ramul, Daniel, Akizel, Serigniel, Azazel, Armers, Batral, Enani, Zavibi, Samsaviel, Artiel, Terrell, Yomael, Erizal. And these were the prefects of the 200 angels, and the remainder were all with them. Then they took wives, each choosing for himself whom they began to approach, and with whom they cohabited, teaching them sorcery, incantations, and the dividing of roots and trees. And the women conceiving brought forth giants, whose stature was each 300 cubits. And these devoured all which the labor of men produced, until it came impossible to feed them. This shit sounds like fucking fan fiction, bro. Like, this total bullshit. Absolute bullshit. Go over to chapter 8. Moreover, Azazel taught men how to make swords, knives, shields, breastplates, the fabrication of mirrors, and the workmanship of bracelets and ornaments, the use of paint, the beautifying of the eyebrows, the use of stones of every valuable and select kind, and all sorts of dyes, so that the world became altered, and piety increased, fornication multiplied, and they transgressed and corrupted all their ways. Amazarek taught all the sorcerers and dividers of roots. Armirs taught the solution of sorcery. Bargiel taught the observers of stars. Akibel taught signs. Tamil taught astronomy. And Saradel taught the motion of the moon. Still more bullshit. So practically, according to the book of Enoch, these sons of God were angels that rebelled against the Most High, came down, fucked a whole bunch of chicks, gave birth to 450-foot tall giants, half human, half hybrid animals, and then taught man how to sin. That sounds like fucking fan fiction. Let me tell you something, alright? Number one, angels are celestial beings. They're not capable of doing things human beings do, like have sex, eat, sleep, drink, and what have you not. Number two, everything is under the Most High's control. The Most High controls the good and the bad. Nothing is beyond the Most High's control, from the celestial sphere over into the physical sphere. Nothing is beyond the Most High's control. Number three, all forms of sin came from Adam's transgression at the garden. You can read that in Romans chapter 5, verses 12 and 18 and 19. Sin and death started at the garden due to Adam's transgression and simping for Eve, who was taught by the serpent, taught the ways of self-idolatry. Okay, it was Adam's job to nip that shit under the bud and get Eve under control and kick the serpent to the fucking dust. But Adam didn't do that. And because of that, once again, through envy of the devil, came death into the world. And that's that. Alright, so this is Numbers chapter 13, 31 and 33. But the men that went up with him said, we be not able to go up against the people, for they are stronger than we. And they brought up an evil report of the land, which they had searched unto the children of Israel, saying, the land the which we have gone to search it is the land that eats up the inhabitants thereof. and all the people that we saw in it are men of a great stature. And then we saw the giants, the sons of Enoch, which come of the giants, and we were in our own sight as grasshoppers, and so we were in their own sight. And as you can see, if you were to read this in the Blue Letter Bible, the word giant would be the same, would be the same Strong's definition, like we read in Genesis 6:4, Strong's H5303. So really, it should say, and there we saw the Nephilim, the sons of Enoch, which come of the giants, and we were in our own sight as grasshoppers, and so we were in their sight. Numbers 14:36 and 37. And the men which Moses sent to search the land, who returned and made all the congregation to murmur against him, by bringing up a slander upon the land, even those men that did bring up the evil report upon the land, died by the plague before Yahweh. So essentially, the men which Moses sent to scope out the land, the lie that they brought up was the fact that they saw the giants, which they made up an exaggerated story or a lie about how they saw the giants, the Nephilim, within the land, which they didn't. That was the evil lie that the men that Moses sent gave out, and because of that, again in verse 37, they end up dying in a plague. They end up dying by the plague. Now let me also say this too. There were men of great stature, especially in the ancient world, but they weren't 500 feet tall. All right, they weren't Trump Tower size. And for further detail on that, we can go to a couple of scriptures, starting with this one, Numbers chapter 14 and 5. In the 14th year came Chedorlaomer, and the kings that were with him, and smote the Rephaims, and Ashtoreth Karnaim, and the Zuzims and Ham, and the Emims and Shavia Kirithaim. And if you look up that word Rephaim, Strong's H7497, giants, Rephaim, old tribe of giants. And for detail on, for a general understanding of how tall they were, Deuteronomy 3 and 11. For only Og, king of Bashan, remained of the remnant of giants. Behold, his bedstead was a bedstead of iron, and not in the rebath of the children of Ammon. 9 cubits was the length thereof, and 4 cubits the breadth of it, after the cubit of a man. So King Og means long neck, the Amorite king of Bashan, and one of the last representatives of the giants of Rephaim. Okay? And also it said that his bedstead was 9 cubits. If you were to convert that into feet, it'd be around 13.5 feet. But we can round it out to 14 feet. So if we were to go off on an assumption, our best bet would be to say that King Og was around maybe at least like 10 to 12 feet tall. Deuteronomy chapter 2 verse 9 and 11. And Yahweh said unto me, distress not the Moabites, neither contend with them in battle, for I will not give you of their land for a possession, because I have given Ar unto the children of Lot for a possession. The Emims dwelt therein in times past, a people great and many, and tall as the Anakims, which were also accounted giants as the Anakims, but the Moabites called them Emims. So again, the Emims were around, at least, from a general understanding, 10 to 12 feet tall. Okay, they're around, they're around the same height as the Rephaims as well, and the Anakims too. And for another account, 1 Samuel chapter 17 verse 4, and there went out a champion out of that camp of the Philistines named Goliath of Gath, whose height was 6 cubits and a span. In the cubits, that's 6.5. That's 6.5 cubits. And if we were to convert that to feet, that'd be around 9.75 feet. We can round that out to 10 feet. So that's pretty much all there is to it. The giants aren't 500-foot tall niggas that were causing havoc on Earth, and that's a whole bunch of bullshit. So I hope you guys got something out of this, bro.